So this is going to be my NFL 2022 Week 9 review and recap, part of a series of videos where I go through the NFL week in review, the big picture takeaways of all the games, the recap, all that kind of good stuff. So as always, we start with the first game of the week, of Week 9 in this case. It'll be Thursday night, Eagles versus Texans. Eagles won this one by 29. It was a close game, closer than most people thought through a decent amount of it. Eagles pulled away at the end. Probably the biggest picture takeaway from this one is just the fact that you had this game going on, the Eagles versus Texans, and then you had the Phillies and the Astros playing the World Series. Actually, the same game on the same night. That was pretty interesting right there. So whatever. Both teams, we know what they are. Then go over to the Sunday slate. Start of all the games. First game, Colts at Patriots. Patriots won this one 26-3. Not terribly surprising. The Colts are going through a whole lot of turmoil right now. I mean, they have a new quarterback when they benched Matt Ryan a few weeks ago. And at the time I'm recording this, Frank Wright had just gotten fired this morning, a few hours ago at the time I'm recording this. And they have announced Jeff Saturday, the ESPN analyst, as the interim coach. A very interesting decision. I don't know what kind of went into that. Maybe they're just looking to get some real Colt blood, Colt royalty, quote unquote, into the building, some energy, just because that team, you could just tell they were going nowhere. I know they had aspirations for this season, but it's just not really heading in their favor. Speaking of things that aren't quite going in favor, Mac Jones continues to be not all that great, but you know what? The Patriots are 5-4 right now. We'll see how they continue to do. I don't think they're going to end up being a playoff team, but they are 5-4, so they're giving themselves a chance right now. Next game, Packers at the Lions. I think everyone thought that this one would be a get-right game for the Packers, but I was kind of sniffing it out. Just like, I don't know about that. I still ended up choosing them to win this game, but they ended up losing 15-9. The Lions, who have been the worst defensive team of the entire NFL season this season, and the Packers only managed to get 9 points. Yeah, every single week it seems to be sort of a new rock bottom for the Packers. Now they're on a 5-game losing streak, losing to the Lions, only scoring 9 points, and their season, I mean, come on, it's done. I mean, once they had lost 4 in a row with that Bills game, it's like, yeah, they're done. And then this is now, they're just writing stuff on the tombstone now. So their season's done. I do think at what point do you wonder, you know what, how about just benching Rodgers and putting in the young kid, because their season is clearly over. And once they do that, I think it will start to be time for them to trade Rodgers, because this team, this window, it's closed. It's over. They had a 3-year run to really get something done under Matt LaFleur's leadership. You had Rodgers playing well. They didn't get it done. And now this team is going nowhere. Next game, Chargers at the Falcons. Really kind of weird game to predict. I guess I ended up choosing the Chargers because, they are the better team. They ended up squeaking this one out 20-17, last-minute field goal. Yeah, Chargers definitely have not looked great this season. Atlanta's been surprisingly good, but these are two teams that still is just kind of hard to get a read on. But the Chargers got the win that they needed, keeping themselves in good playoff position. Next game, Bills at the Jets. Now, the Jets, the previous week, I guess I'll go through the score. The Jets won this one 20-17. Yeah, the previous week, everyone sort of called it out that the Bills, even though they won, did not play great, especially in the second half. They were just terrible versus the Packers, and they still ended up winning. Says a lot about the Packers right there. But with this game, I guess everyone thought, it's still the Jets. Bills are still the prohibitive favorite. And yeah, the Bills are definitely sort of leaking oil these last couple weeks, showing that they're not this invincible team that everyone sort of thought they'd be at the beginning. I mean, no one thought they'd be super invincible, that they wouldn't lose. But we're seeing now that they are no guaranteed lock to get to the Super Bowl and even the AFC Championship game. If you have the Bengals keep playing the way they have, and you see that the Bills have already lost to the Dolphins, they've lost to the Jets, two teams with winning records so far this season. So the Bills definitely got some work to do. And as for the Jets, continue to be that surprise team, one of the few surprise teams, along with the Seahawks, in terms of a positive surprise. We have our share of negative surprises also. Well, the next game, Vikings at the Commanders. Vikings won this one 20-17. Yeah, the Vikings, they have 6-1 right now, I believe. They definitely only have one loss, 6-1 or 7-1, whatever they have. I don't know if they've had their bye yet. But yeah, they continue to win games, although they continue to look not all that impressive in doing so, because they were down in this game against the Commanders, who obviously are not a great team. But, Vikings are sitting pretty because they have no current threat right now to their division title in the NFC North. They'll be guaranteed a playoff position. It's just a matter of their seeding right now. Next game, Panthers at the Bengals. Bengals won this one 42-21. It really wasn't that close. They were up 35-0 at the half. Bengals were definitely super shaky the week before Monday night versus the Browns on Halloween night. Though in fairness, they had just lost Jamar Chase, so that might be why for that game they're just kind of like, didn't quite have things figured out. And the Panthers are definitely a great team to figure things out against, unless you're the Buccaneers, I guess. So yeah, Bengals ended up winning this one, 42-21. They had some great success running the ball, and they showed that Panthers aren't a great litmus test for this, but they'll show that, as long as they can keep their head above water while Jamar Chase is out, they'll be in great position later on in the season to continue being a contender. As for the Panthers, well, I think they're officially kind of a write-off team. I mean, you had PJ Walker, who was starting for a few weeks. They benched him in the second half of this game, put in Baker Mayfield, who I didn't think we'd ever really see again this season. So who knows what they're going to do for the weeks after this game. Next up, we got Raiders at the Jaguars. Raiders won this one. Jaguars won this one 27-20. I did think there's another game with the Raiders. Like, you feel like it's a get-right game. I mean, they just got to start putting some wins together. But I think it's at the point now that they're 2-6, that, yeah, their season's officially done. Super disappointing season for the Raiders. My goodness, great expectations. Even if most people picked them to be like sort of last place in the AFC West, that was more of a commentary of how great the AFC West was. But yeah, just a terrible season for them, 2-6. So Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers splitting up, it's got to be one of the worst breakups of all time. Those are two that definitely should have been joined at the hip because they were putting up some unbelievable success together the last couple seasons, and that's just all gone now. Even though Adams himself had a pretty solid game today. Our next game is going to be, where is it? Dolphins at the Bears. Dolphins won this one 37-32. 35-32. Now, this is a game that I think both teams can be impressed by. Dolphins, like I said, this season is all about building. Well, actually, you forget about building. They're ahead of the schedule because you look at their rankings now. I mean, they're undefeated with Tua starting. Great playoff position right now. They've got a handful of decent wins under them. They're in great shape. And as for the Bears, they made a whole lot of moves a few moves during the trade deadline to really position themselves for the future. In the past few weeks, Justin Fields has really showed that he's really got something and sort of distinguishing himself from that draft class he was in. That definitely hasn't looked great so far. But the past few weeks, they've been playing really well, and hopefully that looks like they're building some pretty good stuff coming up. And their offense has definitely kicked it into high gear the past few weeks. When you had their game against the Patriots, the Cowboys, and now this Dolphins game, yeah, they've definitely looked a lot better than I think most people would have thought, as it looked like they were heading for like a worst team in the league type position early on in the season. Next game, Seahawks versus the Cardinals. Speaking of teams everyone thought would be last place, that would be the Seahawks, who won this one 31-21 in Arizona. Seahawks continue to be a great, pleasant surprise. Cardinals continue to disappoint. Mostly, this game is a continuation of the same stuff we've been seeing from both of these teams when it comes about Geno Smith, Kyler Murray, the dysfunction in Carolina, Pete Carroll, all that kind of stuff. The next game was Rams at the Buccaneers, a game that definitely looked a lot better on paper a few months ago than it did now. These were two teams that were leaking some heavy oil. Rams were, I believe, coming off a bye, and they definitely were not looking great. Actually, no, the Rams were not on a bye. They had gotten smacked by the 49ers the week before. And then but they definitely weren't playing great. They got smacked by the 49ers. You had Buccaneers that had lost 3 games in a row, a game that both teams really didn't need it, especially the Rams. Buccaneers would have been okay had they, because of the division that they're in. So two teams that needed a win. Most of the game was as ugly as expected. These are two teams that have been pretty horrific on offense this season. Neither can run the ball. They got quarterbacks who are older, getting just battered up. It looked towards the end that the Rams had it won. But then we're in a position to where they were up by 4. All they had to do was sort of run out the clock in terms of offense. They couldn't get a first down, so they gave the ball back to Brady with, I believe it was like 50 seconds to go, 40 seconds with no timeouts. And their defense down the stretch was just horrific. I mean, as you watch it, they just gave Tampa Bay everything they needed. Big plays up the middle, the first play was, and then basically gave them every sideline throw down to get all the way down to the goal line. Ended up getting it in. Nice little few yards, like a 2-yard pass Brady had to one of the tight ends. They got the win. You could tell that the win definitely meant a lot to the Buccaneers as they needed it. You saw Tom Brady hugging Byron Leftwich. Twitch, the whole team celebrating. They needed a win like this to get off the schneid. And I think that something like this can propel them going forward, though they do have a very interesting game versus the Seahawks in Germany. So we'll see how that goes. As for the Rams, I mean, their season's definitely over. You know, it's just no chance of winning that division with their current 3-6 record, I believe. Yeah, they are really, really bad title defense for them. And then the Sunday night game, Titans at the Chiefs. You would have thought that this game would have been the Chiefs being a heavy favorite would have gotten sort of an offensive showcase for them. But the Titans continue to prove that they are definitely no team to be messed with. As this game, they were in what looked like to be control for most of it, up by like 17 to 9 for what felt like forever. But Mahomes was able to pull some Mahomes magic with a great scrambling play towards the end of the fourth quarter. They ended up tying the game. They go to overtime. They win the game 20-17. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't quite the fireworks showcase that the Chiefs are known for. But you know what? In the league, you got to showcase that you can win in all different kind of ways. And they definitely proved that in this game right here with the Titans, who, like I said, continue to be a surprise in how they're able to win these games. Though, in fairness, the Titans were playing with the rookie as Tannehill was out. And I think the rookie completed like 5 passes. So there you go with that game. And now, at the time I'm recording this, the Ravens-Saints game for the Monday night showcase has not happened yet, so who knows what will really happen in that one. Though I think, you know what, the Saints do prove to be a better team in the dome, obviously, than away. But I still don't think I don't trust Andy Dalton in prime time and whatnot. So I'll go with the Ravens, who are definitely the better overall team. They're going to be showcasing their new defensive weapon, Roquan Smith. So the Ravens, I'll pick them to win this game. So yeah, there you go with your Week 9 showcase. I guess, you know, major things right here. The Buccaneers, end of the Buccaneers game definitely was special to watch. It was cool to see Brady do what Brady's known for. And then we had a continuation of other stuff like the Packers just sucking, and then you have other stuff. Seahawks continuing to be a surprise. And, you know, now you have to keep track of the Buffalo Bills, who definitely have shown that they're not as consistently a dominant team as many people thought they'd be at the start of the season. The overall team play, and Josh Allen, who is actually no longer, I believe, the MVP favorite anymore. I believe that would go to Patrick Mahomes now. I think he's definitely the way he's played. You saw the game he had today, just finding ways to win. He would be my number 1. Jalen Hurts would be number 2. Josh Allen would be number 3 currently right now. But, you know, still a decent amount of games to go. So yeah, you move on to the Week 10 slate and some, you know, interesting games as always. Seahawks and Buccaneers. That would have been a fun game regardless, I think. But the fact that it's in Germany, it's like, well, definitely a lot of added intrigue in that one. Brady in Germany, maybe he takes home a German model with him. That'd be some fun stuff. I think another really interesting game, Cowboys at the Packers. The fact that the Packers are actually favored, I believe. I saw the line, I think it was 4.5 or something like that in Lambeau Field. I mean, who would have thought that at the start of the season? That's going to be unbelievable. And, you know, some other decent games, like I think Chargers 49ers should be a solid one. That's the Sunday night game. So, yeah, we'll see how things continue with Week 10. But like I said, we got a sort of good feel on most of these teams for now. The major one takeaway I had after this week is that, you know, Green Bay, they got to trade Rodgers. It's just, that's not a bright looking future that they have right now. So before I start rambling anymore, that'll do it for this Week 9 review of the Week 9 season of NFL 2022. Made it to the end of this video. Thank you for watching.